Well, welcome to 2015. Happy New Year. Thank you for attending our Aspire event today. We're going to go ahead and kick it off this morning and get going. There's still people walking in, but just trying to keep everybody on schedule. Our goal is to get everyone out by 9 o'clock, so we want to make sure and kick it off. But thank you. Welcome for, we appreciate you coming, and it's early in the morning. There is coffee, juice, stuff outside. If you didn't grab some, you're welcome to get up and roam in and out while the speaker's going on. A couple of different things I want to tell you too before I make the introductions. There's handouts in front of you, both from the speaker as well as a CPE evaluation form and stuff. If you'd like to fill that out, if you are a CPA, we're more than glad to report that time and make sure you get credit and stuff for continuing professional education. Also wanted to remind you that videos of the prior sessions with regard to all the different topics are on our website, so you're welcome to go there and watch and go back and review and look at things. If you want a copy of the video or something, let us know that too, and we'll help you get that downloaded if you want to use it somewhere else. All of these different Aspire events are videoed, so they're available to go back and reference. Well, our speaker today is both a very talented, brilliant guy that I've gotten to actually sit on boards with and become a really good friend, and it's Tom McGehee. Tom is the managing director of Brand Velocity. He has over 25 years of management consulting experience, and let me tell you, in his case, that means he really does know what he's doing. I've sat in board meetings before where he's come up with ideas that I never even heard of or thought of. He has a focus on helping leadership and teams work through systemic change. He's worked with hundreds of organizations and thousands of individuals across different industries and leading collaborative efforts that include organizational restructuring, operational mergers, strategic development, and large ERP implementations. He's a published author, speaker, and thought leader, improving organizational execution through collaboration. Prior to joining Brand Velocity, he was the founder and CEO of a successful management consulting firm, and he held executive positions with Ernst & Young and EDS. He has a distinguished military career as an officer, and he is a Marine. So be careful, don't argue with him, okay? We'll welcome him today. I know you'll find some insightful granules to walk away with, and I know you'll enjoy his speech today.
Thanks. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I appreciate everyone coming this morning. Thanks. I was a little late getting in. If you don't mind, I'll just set that there. Due to riding down here with about 10,000 of my closest friends on the tollway. So that was I live in Plano. I used to office when I had my own company down in the Quadrangle area downtown, and I would drive down there every day. And now I go down there for a meeting, and I'm like, I can't believe I drove down there every day. I don't know what I was thinking, but it's been good. So a little bit, what I want to talk to you today about is teamwork and critical initiatives or complex initiatives within an organization. Greg kind of read through my bio there, which, when you write it, you sound like, gee, I've done a lot. When you hear it, you go, man, I'm really getting old. It's just kind of, so, but most of my life has been, professional life has been around organizations and performance. I don't come out of an academic background. I haven't studied a lot of the traditional business things you would do to be a management consultant. Most of it's been more hands-on. Most of it's been more in the trenches or working with boards or executive teams, everything from special operations groups when I was in the Marine Corps to entrepreneurial companies to Fortune 100 companies or global organizations. And so the niche I've fallen into, when I became a partner at Ernst & Young, which was in 1990, on the consulting side, they had just licensed a collaborative process. And they would bring people in that were from large companies, typically doing very large, complex initiatives. And they would bring them into this center, and in 3 days, they would do months of work. That was the value proposition. And typically anywhere from 30 to 80 or 90 people. So you could get the influencers, decision makers, and doers. Or you could get the corporate and the decentralized leaders all in one room at one time and actually not have chaos, actually come out with alignment, agreement, and an action plan for how to move forward. Well, I saw that kind of work and fell in love with that. And about 1990 became one of their lead facilitators. In about 2001, I decided it was time to leave and start my own consulting group and focus just on this area of facilitation, this area of complex decision making. And I've done that for the last, whatever it was, 12, 13 years on my own. I felt really led to spend more time as an individual working with ministries and churches and not-for-profit groups. Very much influenced by a local guy here named Bob Buford. I don't know if anybody knows his name. I've done a lot of work with Bob. He wrote a book called Halftime and talked about spending the first half of his life being successful, wanted to spend the second half being significant. And I find myself in that area and wanting to do both. And the way I've been able to do it is take WildWorks, which was my company, and focus it on ministry and not-for-profit. And then I joined about a year ago this firm, Brand Velocity, which is a management consulting firm out of Atlanta. A little bit about Brand Velocity. It started by Jack Birdstrand. He was a former CIO at Coca-Cola. And Jack is just a great guy, a brilliant guy. He has certainly seen his share of complex initiatives. One of the things that as a CIO at Coca-Cola, a massive organization like that, when they were implementing SAP, it just went way off the rails. I know that's surprising for many of you that an implementation like that would do that, but it did, and his struggle to get things aligned, everything from the number of people that were called in as oversight to make a decision meant that they couldn't make a decision, that everything just took on it wasn't being effective, it wasn't being efficient. And so when he left Coke, he wanted to take some of these ideas he had learned on fixing those things, driving those, and put them into a small consulting company, which he's done. A lot of that was influenced by Peter Drucker, the readings of Peter Drucker. The Drucker Institute is in Claremont, California, and we are sort of their consulting arm. They are a not-for-profit academic institute that's taken all of Peter Drucker's work and they apply it to things that are happening today. So if you were dealing with innovation, for example, and you wanted us to come help you innovate, think about innovation in your organization, we would probably bring in the Drucker Institute to conduct what they call one of their unworkshops. And its ability focused on Drucker's thoughts around innovation. So we have a very close tie to them. When I had my little company, I also had a joint venture with the Drucker Institute, and that was some of what pulled me toward Brand Velocity. We are I'll get to who we are in a minute. We focus almost exclusively on what we call reinvention initiatives. These are something that runs across the entire organization. And by the way, after this, I'm going to have some ideas around doing reinvention, around teamwork and critical initiatives. As we get into that, if you have questions, please stop me and just ask as we go. I'll try to make this, once I get through the preliminaries here of background, try to make this a little more interactive if you'd like. We'll have time for Q&A at the end as well. The idea of reinvention is the idea that it's not something new as in an IDO or an innovation or we're going to be something completely different. It's the idea that we have got to refresh in who we are. Okay, one of the things I've seen often in an organization is you have sort of a life cycle of anything, I think, organization that goes like this. It starts, there's a hard time, it starts being really productive, and then every organization has its life cycle. The founder's going to move on, the market's going to shift, something's going to drive it over the end. Well, the time you want to start considering change or reinvention is not when you're over here. If you're already on the downside, and I'm working with a couple organizations that are doing this, you are not able, there are a whole bunch of reasons that it's not good. One is you don't have the resources in which to invest in anything new. All right, you're in more survival mode than expansion mode. Secondly, you have clearly worked your market or whatever it was for so long that now you're having to really think of something radically different. So the time you want to really start reinventing or think about reinventing is when you're here and you're on your way up because you know there's going to be this dip again and you're going to start a new curve. Most organizations don't do this. They wait till they're here. All right? And the thing that's difficult about this so reinvention isn't, if you're here, you don't need to reinvent. You almost have to do something radically new. You have to spin it off, sell it, split it up, do something with it. If you're in this area, you can tweak it. You can take a new market, develop a new product line, re-engineer the way you manufacture, do something like that that allows you to just not do something terribly different, but to do something a whole lot better. Does that make sense? So what happens, and so we talked about reinvention and trying to help companies do that. Brand velocity, the name brand has really very little to do with branding like a logo or marketing company. What we see is the brand is your entire organization. And I was with a private equity firm with Greg last year in New York, and this company that they were dealing with was having a real problem. And they were talking about trying to do a campaign to help it. And it was like, we need a branding campaign. We need to do something with our brand. We need to get it out there. Well, the more you talk to them, the marketing of their product was not the issue. The issue was the changing of all the products around it. The issue was the portfolio of things they were offering. It was a much bigger issue than just how they represented themselves in the market. If you take a company like Target, Target's brand, beginning of last year, whenever all the, maybe it was after Christmas when all the data was stolen, their brand was tarnished. It had nothing to do with the brand, nothing to do with the dog with the little red, circles on his eyes. It had to do with cash registers. But yet it impacts the whole organization. And so one of the things with brand velocity is the idea of if you said, we have this issue, we want to help you realize, okay, yeah, but what does that issue mean across your whole enterprise? We use small senior teams. There are 12 of us with a network of about another 10 in brand velocity. We have a non-leveraged model, which means if you want a facilitated session, you're probably going to have me come in and do it. I don't have an army of newly minted MBAs that I can send in and do that. It's really senior people who have been there before, done these things before, that can act almost more as advisors, and that's kind of our model. This, I think, is key. Two parts to it. One, about running. You have to run and change at the same time, and that's really what I'm going to focus on. And then secondly, you need to look at any huge initiative, in my opinion, not as a really big initiative, but as a bunch of little projects. And I'll talk to that some more in a minute. Questions on brand velocity or me or anything? All right.